What's going on, guys? Kaguri here. Ninja's been added to the game and have done a lot of testing, and now we have a PvP tier list for the classes. Let's get into it. Alright guys, with the new class I also changed how I'm doing my tier list. Before, I was doing all kinds of different kind of feel. I talked to other top players on different regions, and we just said, hey, we think it's S, we think it's A, blah blah blah. Now I'm kind of putting numbers to it. So I don't have spreadsheets or anything. I literally did paper. But what I'm doing here is I took all 12 classes and I gave them a number 1 through 10 for each of the 4 game modes, PvP or PvE, depending on the 4 game modes that I feel are the most important. For PvP, we're doing Burning Soul Battle, Top League, Shrine Peak, and Crystal Battlefield. Now, I'll run you through the numbers. What I did here is, so above 30 in total was an S tier. 30 to 28, A tier. 27, I think I did down to 25. No, 27, 26B, 25 to 22C, anything under D. Now, I'm going to run you through each class's numbers. I'll go from S down, and I'll run you through the 4 numbers and why. So, starting first, we have Perfect Blade, which I gave it an 8 in Burning Soul Battle. It is very, very powerful. It is not the best technically. There's a 1, 2, 3, a 4-way tie for Burning Soul Battle. The issue here is a lot of your gimmick is the dashing mechanic, and in Burning Soul Battle you don't need to dash a lot because it's just one-on-one. For Top League, I gave it a 9. 3 people, you have tons of time to spam the chi ability. Use all 4 of your skills, technically 7 skills. Use your chi skill, swap, burst with your other class, come back immediately, and your chi skill will be ready to go again, and all your abilities will be ready in that order again. It works very, very well, especially if you are ready with the rotations. I also gave it an 8 in Shrine Peak. Shrine Peak and Crystal Battlefield, primarily because of the chasing potential. You have 3 dashes. Technically more if that second dash hits. So you have the second skill, which is a dash. If it hits someone, you can do another dash. The third skill, you throw the knife, the dagger, and if you hit them, you teleport to them. Third skill, dash forward. And all these abilities also make you hard to target, as well as can be used as dodges. For example, if a Dragon Knight goes to do a spear drop, you have a million ways to get out of it. Which brings it to 33. Next would be Dragon Fighter, which scored 32 overall. I gave it a 7 in Burning Soul Battle, a little bit under Perfect Blade, primarily because that chi skill really makes the difference. What is interesting is Dragon Fighter is able to get uh, extra resources if you use a skill like Tenacity Ball before swapping to it. So that is a boon, but is nowhere near as good as the chi that Perfect Blade has access to. I gave it also a 9 for Top League. It's just a very, very powerful class. It has great chasing potential. It has one of the only stuns, non-fairy stuns. The dash skill, if you use the enhanced version where you flip forward, it is a gap closer and a stun. It's just very, very powerful. I gave it an 8 in Shrine Peak and Crystal Battlefield. This is going to be very, very similar to what I just said with Perfect Blade, where they have a lot of dashes, they have a lot of gap closers. 3, really, technically, because you have the dash itself, you have the ulterior version of the dash, the flip forward, and the third skill isn't a very big dash. It's a quick 2-step forward, and if you are doing the full right side, you have Dragon Roar, which gives you a barrier, gives you lets you get out of CC effects, and is a dash afterwards. Going on into the A tier, and everything S and A here is really only off by, 2 to 4 points, really. Let me see. The lowest here in A tier is Gladiator at 29, and the highest in S is at 33. So, depending on what game mode that you care about, they're pretty close. I really had to do the numbers to really see the small differences here, right? So 33, 32, down to DK. We have a 3-way tie here with Priest, Wind Chaser, and Dragon Knight. All scored 30 on the dot, which is why they're at the top of A tier, and this is a direct tie. Starting with Wind Chaser, I gave it a 7 in Burning Soul Battle. It is built for PvP. It has that extra dodge, which is definitely important in Burning Soul Battle because it is a fairy-centric format. If you build into the dodge format, you can do really well, but it is a gimmick. People can play around it. Then for Top League, I gave it an 8. You do have some CC you can throw out. You do have that extra dodge. It is primarily going to depend on your secondary class, how well you do. Wind Chaser just primarily being there for a little bit of CC, a lot of maneuverability, and then to buff up whatever your other class is. Also gave it an 8 in Shrine Peak. It has that extra dash. It has movement abilities. Especially has the Get Out of Jail Free card with Strength of Nature. That's also going to make it a 7 in Crystal Battlefield. You can make an argument that it could be an 8 in Crystal Battlefield as well because of Strength of Nature, but there's just too many people and your damage is lower than a lot of other classes. Then to Priest, which as I said is tied. I gave it an 8 in Burning Soul Battle. It's very powerful. The buff can ignore a lot of the CC in the format, as well as Coldfire Bird and Tenacity Ball just do a lot for mirror matches. If you hit, it really comes down to who hits the Tenacity Ball, and Coldfire Bird also has a tracking to it, so if we're in range when I cast it, even if you run away, use an ability to get away, it's going to go after you. I gave it an 8 in Top League. It's one of the strongest in Top League, hands down. I only gave it 1 point less than Dragon Fighter and Perfect Blade for this game mode, primarily because the other two have a lot of dodges, and you're not really going to be hitting with Tenacity Ball if people are dodging all over the place. I gave Priest a 7, and Shrine Peak and Crystal Battlefield. They are strong combatants, but their maneuverability leaves much to be desired. The last 30 is Dragon Knight. 8 in Burning Soul Battle, anti-heal, knock up, 3 CCs, very strong. 7 in Top League. Now with a lot more dashes in the format, it is a little bit lower. Before this, I probably would have gave it a 9, but there's now 2 primary dash units. Even Wind Chasers have a lot of maneuverability as well. For Shrine Peak, I gave it a 7, and Crystal Battlefield, I gave it an 8. The reason why is they can do a lot of protecting the peak in Shrine Peak, but Crystal Battlefield is where I gave it that extra point because they're very good at those wide team battles. Because you do have a team with you, Dragon Knight gets that time to get their cooldowns back up, so they're able to go back in and do their big burst. Whereas in Shrine Peak, you're by yourself. You have a lot of downtime waiting for your cooldowns based on what your other classes, allowing people to get points while you're kind of running away. Now, going to 29 for Gladiator. Gladiator is by no means bad, but it is 1 point less than the others on A, 4 points less than Perfect Blade. I gave it an 8 in Burning Soul Battle. Very, very strong, especially that heal mechanic. One of the only heals that we have in that game mode. Also has a defense and block reduction. Block is meta right now, so being able to do minus 30% block is very, very powerful. And I give it 7s across the board for Top League, Shrine Peak, and Crystal Battlefield. It is above average, but it is not great. So it is definitely, I think, low A, high B tier when we talk about Top League, Shrine Peak, and Crystal Battlefield. And the thing that nudges it into the A tier is how it does in Burning Soul Battle. Now down into the B tier, this was a very interesting one. Let me see, Mech. That's at 28. And Marksman at 26. So depending on where you want to do the points cutoff, Marksman could even be in the C tier. Mech, I gave a 6 in Burning Soul Battle. All the bots leave a lot for them to heal off of, especially in 1v1. Leaves a lot to be desired. In Top League, I gave it a 7. The bots are things that they can heal off of as well. That's always going to be a downside. But I gave it that extra point because it could be something that works with your teammates. Especially the second skill, you put it down, reduces attack. That can matter a lot, for example. Shrine Peak, I gave it an 8. It's actually pretty good in Shrine Peak because you can set up your bots and stuff on the peak, and then if someone comes towards you, they actually have a pretty long range. You could be looking at these two entrances, and then you see your cannon firing that direction, effectively giving you eyes behind your head. I gave it a 7 in Crystal Battlefield. It is above average because of the same kind of reason as Shrine Peak, but is a little weaker because of their long cooldowns. Inversely to what I said with Dragon Knight, because where Dragon Knight is one-shotting people, you're kind of peppering people. Then we go to Marksman. Marksman's kind of fallen off a little bit. I gave it a 6 in Burning Soul Battle. You would imagine this would be the one where it kind of does the best. And the issue here is 2 of its skills effectively don't do anything. You get locked into your... so you do... Never Miss, gives you the buff, and then if you want to do max damage, you want to be peppering in your basic attacks that do the line that give you stacks, and then your multi-shot goes for the kill. In this way, the map is bigger than Arena, for example, but everyone with their maneuverability, some of Perfect Blade abilities, for example, can actually dodge the ability. It just has trouble in the 1v1 format. It's a lot better in the group formats, even though you would imagine it would be the opposite. I gave it a 7 in Top League. A little bit better because it can be a good flat damage dealer for your team, but it requires your other 2 teammates to have more CC than normal. For example, the 2S. The 2S's could be together. That's a lot of CC. That's 6 forms of CC, which could open up a spot for 1 pure damage dealer for a marksman to go to town and then have the CC protect them. For Shrine Peak, I gave them a 5. You could argue it could be a 6 as well. The issue being there's just so many people and your main thing is trying to one-shot someone. You are primarily focused on these small team fights, 2 or 3 people at a time, ideally with teammates, and Shrine Peak just isn't that. I did give Marksman an 8 in Crystal Battlefield, because they are very, very powerful with Crystal Battlefield, especially if you go full Marksman skills. If there's a fight, for example, at any of the entrances, you can just pepper all of your skills from a good range, targeting them. And what's very interesting is on any of the 3 platforms, you can actually shoot in any direction and then hit people down below, because both of their skills don't care about altitude as well as multi-shot. Going on into the C tier, starting with Kaguri, which I gave a 25, and Judge that I gave a 24. So these are very, very close. Kaguri I gave a 5 for Burning Soul Battle. It doesn't get enough time to really build into its Shadow Clone playstyle, which really needs a second run of Shadow Clones to really get in this groove of damage, which is great in PvE, but doesn't really translate into the definitely not 1v1. I also gave them a 7 in Top League, where they could get a chance to ramp up. The issue being everyone has inflated HP and a few other stats in Top League, so their peppering doesn't really translate into a great win. They are above average, so that's why they are a 7, because they do have time to ramp up and their damage can't be ignored. But other classes just do better for what that game mode wants to do. I gave it a 7 in Shrine Peak. Similar reason. You get time to build up. You can actually hold onto your chi and then go into the next fight with high chi, and then get some combos going off, especially Raikiri, enhanced Raikiri can kill 3 people at once. Very, very powerful burst, but other classes are doing better in this game mode. I gave it a 6 for Crystal Battlefield. You can argue it could be a 7 as well. The reason why I gave it a 6 instead of the other 2 7s is due to it really doesn't have any CC. It could grab the second skill on the left side, but it ends up hurting its chi shadow clone going on, as well as the biggest issue that Kaguri runs into, which would make it way better in PvP and PvE, is the Owl's Protection is really your pop-off move, and it has a super long cooldown. If it was 2 or 3 seconds less, then it would be so much better. Going on into Judge. Judge, you would be surprised. Their damage was never anything to scoff at. Their issue was always their cooldowns. In some instances, it's a little bit better now. The biggest issues being most classes have innate ways to ignore knockback, so Tornado isn't as good as it used to be, and people are building block, so Laser isn't as strong as it used to be either. Because if you don't know, Laser, if your break is higher than the opponent's block, you do bonus damage, but a lot of people are building block, which makes it hard to do that bonus damage. To Judge 6 in Burning Soul Battle, you don't get time. You also don't get that prep time that you do in Top League, which I gave them an 8, where you have that countdown to prepare and have a double Tornado or double Laser. You don't have that time in Burning Soul Battle. Top League, I gave them an 8. Due to that, you can have one good Judge on your team and then have it prepped. Prep a double Tornado, double Laser. Can do really, really great things. Throwing out Cold Fire Birds, Tenacity Balls, or Frost Worms. Very, very powerful in Top League. For Shrine Peak and Crystal Battlefield, I gave them 5 on both. Their thing is, they can be annoying. They will get some knockups, they'll get some knockbacks, they'll do some damage, but their killing potential is very, very low, and people getting away from you is very, very high. Going on to the D tier, we have Mech at 28 and Berserker at 21. So you could make the argument, if you want to make it more transparent of where's where, you could put Mech up at C tier and just have Berserker by itself. I'm sorry, Berserker guys. Mech, I gave them a 6 in Burning Soul Battle. They have the damage. The issue is all the dashes going on in the game. I don't think I have to harbor on that anymore. Top League, I gave them a 7. Slight edge here because you do have that time to prep your preparation, so that it is ready when you go into the fight. I gave them an 8 on Shrine Peak. Similar reason. You can go into every battle prepared for your preparation. Your Blasting Sparkle lowers their healing as well as gives you a movement speed buff. They are very strong in PvP when we talk about these massive fights. So Shrine Peak and Crystal Battlefield, they are strong. I gave them a 7 in Crystal Battlefield just because it's a lot bigger, really. With Peak, you're primarily looking towards the peak and the spot right under it that drops the blue orbs, right? You don't really care about the white orbs that are worth only 1 point apiece. But with Crystal Battlefield, when you look at what you actually want to be doing, the field is actually a lot bigger, so I got a 7 instead of the 8. Berserker, I gave them a 2 in Burning Soul Battle. Its main focus is running through people. Flash getting a reset on player kill doesn't matter when it's one-on-one, right? You could, if you are vastly stronger than other people, you can make this work, but you would do way better with anything else. I gave them a 5 in Top League. You can get some, if you coordinate with your teammates correctly, you can set up a situation where you can get a flash into another flash on someone else. But at that point, you could just play Perfect Blade and do way better, right? I gave them a 7 in both Shrine Peak and Crystal Battlefield, and that is primarily because you have a lot of opponents, and you also have a lot of dashes. You have almost as many dashes as Perfect Blade and Dragon Fighter. The issue is you don't do anything with those dashes because your damage is kind of low, but if you go into a fight full rage, you have 3 dashes. You can dash in, flash someone for the kill with, let's say, Fire Echo for a big crit hit, or Holy Echo for that execute style damage, and then you can flash return someone else, and then use flash on them, reset, and then keep going, using the other uppercut, for example, as a third dash. Can do very, very well in those Shrine Peak or Crystal Battlefield type game modes. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you like the Burning Soul Battle Top League, Shrine Peak, and Crystal Battlefield? Or do you think Crystal Battlefield should be something like Guild War? Let me know what you think down below. Till next time, guys.